Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting live from Lagos.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Well, this seems to be a period of multiple fire incidents. Going by the pictures our eyewitness reporters sent into our eyewitness portal, let's begin with this first one from Jaji Zaria dual carriageway in Kaduna State, showing what is left of a luxury bus after it caught fire. Our eyewitness reporter says that the flame would have been stopped were there fire extinguishers on the bus, but thankfully there were no casualties. Well, similar to this is another one from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, showing a tricycle up in flames. Our eyewitness reporter says that the tricycle, which was carrying petrol, collided with another vehicle before igniting the flame that burnt the vehicle. And from Calabar, the Cross River state capital, comes this photo showing where our eyewitness reporter says is the premises of the Central Bank of Nigeria after an explosion. He reports that the explosion was caused by gas cylinders and not a bomb blast. Well, similar to that is this photo showing a burning building, which our eyewitness reporter says is a flat at the old Central Bank of Nigeria quarters in Pt.2 in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. He says the fire was caused by a cooking gas, but was put out by men of the fire service. And finally, is this image from Asaba, the Delta State capital, showing a queue of people and their jerrycans waiting to buy fuel at a filling station, which our eyewitness reporter says sells for 115 naira, when others sell for 150 naira. He says that the impact of the scarcity is biting harder and wants the government to do something urgent about it. We do sincerely thank you so much indeed for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming and you too can report happenings around you.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
2 people have been confirmed dead after a gas explosion from some air conditioners today rocked the office of the Central Bank of Nigeria in Calabar, the Cross River state capital. About 25 people who sustained injuries have been taken to the hospital. The Central Bank of Nigeria has confirmed the fire outbreak at about noon in the banking hall. Meanwhile, the Cross River state government has urged residents within the Calabar metropolis to remain calm and to go about their normal businesses. The Victim Support Fund has identified 10,000 vulnerable children affected by cases of insurgency. They are to benefit from the VSF's Education Support Project. The first phase covers 20,000 children in Adamawa, Borno and Yobe states.
As a fallout of the 6-year-long Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria's northeast, hundreds of thousands of Borno residents have been dislodged from their homes. School-aged children now live with their parents and relatives as internally displaced persons in makeshift camps around Maiduguri, the capital city. The Education Intervention Program, initiated by the Victim Support Fund, is coming at a time when government is making efforts to return willing locals to their original homes in liberated towns. The Victim Support Fund has vowed to rebuild all public schools in Dekwa local government, one of the areas liberated by the Nigerian army.
10,000 of the school children in Borno State have been identified, who will be getting a complete set of all the support that we are giving. In addition to the teachers who are teaching them, because if the children have them and the teachers don't, then we have a problem. Victim Support Fund is going to work. The next major project we are going to be involved with in Borno State, sir, is the reconstruction of Dikwa, to enable and enhance the process of return to normalcy as quickly as possible.
The Borno State government has always believed that education is a critical component that should be taken serious in addressing the insurgency problem. The deputy governor of the state wants other public-spirited individuals to learn from the Victim Support Fund.
The materials will no doubt assist the children in their learning process, while teachers will also enhance their capacity and knowledge to put their best in this unfortunate political situation to enable the children regain what they have lost over the period. I also appeal to other scientific organizations and individuals to follow the good example of Nigerian Foundation for the support of victims of terrorism that we can all combine our effort to salvage the situation and promote education.
The Victim Support Education Project would target mostly school-age children returning to their local governments of original residence.
67 people held hostage by suspected Boko Haram militants in Yobe State, northeast of Nigeria, have been freed by the Nigerian army. One of the rescued captives, Aisha, told Channels Television that they were held hostage by the suspected sect members for 6 months. The village head of Kukereta, Malam Lawal Babagana, who is keeping custody of the freed captives, explains that the IDPs are now getting humanitarian support from both the state and the National Emergency Management Agency, pending the time they are cleared by the appropriate authorities to return home. You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, reaching you live from Lagos. Let's quickly shift gears now. So we take you to our Abuja studio where Linda Hibe is standing by to take us through. Linda.
Hello, Gimba. Good to see you and welcome to the nation's capital. And thanks for keeping us abreast with developments surrounding the Lekki building collapse. Now we begin with security matters. The government of Adamawa State and indigents of communities recaptured from Boko Haram militants have appealed to the federal government not to withdraw troops from their communities yet. They made this request during an assessment tour of the area by the Inter-Ministerial Committee set up to assess the security situation in the northeastern states of Adamawa, Borno and Yobe states. The committee, drawn from the Ministries of Defense and Interior, is to advise government on the planned handing over of the liberated areas by the military to civil law enforcement agencies.
The mission is to organize town hall meetings with civilian stakeholders in local government areas recaptured from Boko Haram by the military, to ascertain villages recovered, the population of returnees, and commercial activity. It will also confirm the presence of law enforcement apart from the military.
The purpose of us coming here is to come and make consultations. We have some questionnaires. We are going to hold town hall meetings. We'll meet with the security agencies, we'll meet with the local government, we'll meet with all the stakeholders.
The Interministerial Committee pays a courtesy call on the Emir of Mubi before proceeding to Madagali and Michika. The general consensus is that the military should not be withdrawn from these areas. Major General Fatai Ladipo Ali gives a glimpse of their findings in one of the meetings.
It is the intention of the federal government to make things better for all of us. We are aware that the women have special problems. There are so many widows, so many orphans. Schools need to be opened. Health facilities need to be better. Water, light, and so on.
Some members of the committee also expressed their views.
People are looking forward for some support in terms of logistics, in terms of welfare, and the people that are supposed to give this are no longer there to be seen on the ground.
If the federal government has to withdraw the military, it has to equip the police and retrain them for that purpose.
Speaking to the media, Governor Jibrila kicked against the withdrawal of the military until complete peace is achieved.
We are one of the frontline states, as you all know. We've been going through this thing for the past how many years now. It's only psychological for our people to see military withdrawing. I don't think they will accept that, because the military honestly has done their best, and the civilians has really appreciated what they have done.
A time for the high-powered delegation from the federal government to visit these ravaged communities and have an on-the-spot assessment of the security situation on the ground.
Meanwhile, the Special Task Force maintaining law and order in Pt.2 State, Operation Safe Haven, has inaugurated a strike force base in Gashishi area of Barkin Ladi local government area. This is aimed at enforcing the rule of law in the liberated communities. The commander of the operation, Major General Tabo Ude, said the mission is designed to restore confidence among the people and shorten the response time for distress calls.
These soldiers will stay within Gashishi district of Barkin Ladi local government area of the state to maintain peace in troubled communities.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
This area will serve as a base for the soldiers who will oversee the security of the communities that have been flashpoints of clashes, especially between the indigenes and Fulani herdsmen. According to the operations commander, who has come to interact with the residents, 60 soldiers will be stationed at the base to assist Sector 7 Command.
The idea of a strike force base is to reduce the incidents or completely wipe away incidents of isolated killings along this road, restore sanity and ensure that villagers come back to their homes.
People in this local government can now go about the normal businesses freely.
Representatives of the indigenous Beram and the Fulani are confident that the peace efforts of the task force has yielded positive results which will be maintained.
We are having a lot of killings and even attack by housing. Farmers have been destroyed. But due to the security that have sent them to our place here, they're able to calm all this situation. And we're just working as brothers and sisters now.
The cup that was donated for peace indicates that peace has returned to Gashishi. Whatever has happened in the past is destined by God. Now you can see the Fulanese playing alongside the Birom in a football match and the parents cheering them on. We hope this relationship is sustainable.
The Operation Safe Haven Strike Force is under the command of Lieutenant Bright Okoronko, with 60 other soldiers shouldered with the responsibility of maintaining law and order within that area, as well as responding to distress calls promptly.
Now, away from security matters, for Nigeria to make progress, the country must be better governed at all levels. This is a consensus at the inaugural lecture of the Wujale of Ijebu-Land, Dr. Sikiru Adetono, which took place in Lagos. A governance research fund was also launched at the event to support research in governance. Our correspondent Adeshewa Josh reports.
It is an inaugural lecture like none other, bringing together royalties from across the country and very eminent citizens from both the public and private sectors. Discussants at the paramount ruler of Ijebu-Land, Oba Dr. Sikiru Kayode Adetono lecture, highlight the issues and challenges of governance in Nigeria, where oil revenues that should have been a blessing is now seen as a stumbling block.
Our fiscal policy was that any region or state that has minerals and for which it's paid royalties and rent, 50% of it, because of derivation principle, accrues to that state or region. 30% goes into what was called a distributable pool to be shared among all the regions to balance development across the country. 20%, just 20% goes to the federal government. As the inflow continued of this free money as a result of the increase in the price, the military was afraid of what will happen if a state governor start having resources almost as much as the federal government. And so they passed a law in '69 saying that all returns must come to the federal government.
And we talk about the institutions and the structures. Are we not missing something when we do not talk about the culture, the upbringing, the training, and realize that people who are not well brought up children do not know that you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because your father is looking over your shoulder? And should we bring people who are not well brought up children to govern us?
It is not unusual to hear Nigeria's challenges discussed at forums like this. However, what's different this time around is that steps are being taken to resolve the governance crisis through academic research. Hence, the launch of the Endowment Fund for Research on Governance at the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwe.
The occupant of the chair is expected to give annual lectures, organize annual lectures in the series, and also give lectures of his own. And we believe that subsequently the policies of government will be modified by those research.
A legacy that may eventually define his reign. Obasikiru Adetono talks about what inspired the project.
With this sort of thing, now they'll be able to interact with the state university. They were using them, explain things to them and all whatnot. So therefore, the author must be part of the people to effect the change. That's why we are people. Apart from the fact that the public generally is now has better awareness of the situation, they appreciate the need for a change. But we still need these younger elements to bring them in. They are going to do the footwork.
Many have talked about closing the leadership gap in Nigeria. This lecture has also put forth an important argument about closing the knowledge gap, and rightly so, since no generation can develop beyond what it knows. Adeshewa Josh, Channels Television News.
And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Gimba.
Very many thanks. Linda Hibe from our Abuja studio live. And when the news at 10 returns, suspects in the CBN $200,000 attempted fraud arrested by security operatives. That's some business news. Do join us again.